Hello, Katy ISD community. Duke Keller here, your candidate for School Board Position 1.
And I'm Lance Redmon, your candidate for Position 2. Today we're here to share a little bit about what we're calling From the Street to the State, our contract with the community.
From the street to the state has three main areas of focus. The street, literally what's happening in our communities. The schools, what's happening in the front line of our classrooms. And the state, what is happening at Austin that's affecting us in Katy ISD and what's coming down from Austin.
The first thing we're going to talk about today is the street. And so the street, it has four different areas that we're going to talk about. Number one, ideas. Number two, transportation. Number three, public relations. And number four, spending. I'd like to talk a little bit about ideas. One of the things I'd like to continue is our ability. We've heard a lot from teachers and administrators and bus drivers and aides, and continuing to hear these small changes that would make a huge difference in our school district. And so one of the things I'd like to continue is to be able to hear that. And if we have the chance to hear from maybe someone in the maintenance department has a way that we could cut spending, right? Maybe one of our teachers has a way to improve the educational process for our kids while still providing less homework. What I found is those frontline people, it's a gold mine of information to improve the experience for our children. Duke, is there an area you want to start with?
Well, I'd really like to talk about the transportation problem with the driver shortage. Is that really a problem? Is the driver shortage actually the problem we're having? Or is the problem lying in some other areas? For example, would leadership training improve the situation with the transportation we're having? And one of the other things we talked about, you and I, Lance, is can we get every kid a ride who needs a ride? That's something we'd like to look into.
Another issue would be this idea of public relations. What I found is that most people, even if they don't agree with a decision, if they understand why it happened, they can at least get on board. I've been amazed at the conversations we've been able to have with people who it's not even that they wanted to get their way, although everybody loves to get their way. They just wanted to understand why the decision was made. And so I'd love to figure out if there's a way that as a board, we're able to communicate the why behind a decision and be able to bring the community behind that.
Yes, also, is there a way to stay ahead of the issues? Is there a way we can communicate and disclose things more to the community where we can stay ahead of the issues, stay ahead of the problems before an issue arises? Concerns they have. So maybe that's one of the things that can help improve the communication within the district and the perception of openness and transparency with the board.
Yeah, and I think many times, we know that the decisions are published, right? They're voted on in front of people. There's some just logistically, many times decisions are made well before they get implemented, right? And so there's times that say this service is going to be stopped, and people don't really listen until the service is stopped, right? Or right before it happens. And I think there's almost human nature to that, right? That you don't really listen until it affects you. And so, I think part of that is being more proactive to communicate those times on the stuff we know that they didn't listen to. I do that. I was going to say I do that with my kids, but all right. The last little subpoint under street is spending. And so we're both well aware that the district continues to be top rated in accountability and the way they spend. The team in the finance department does a great job. But one of those areas the board's responsibilities is to continue to push on that accountability there. Do you have any thoughts about the contract process or how the spending's done?
Well, I've been very happy with what I've seen in some of the board meetings about how the district does retire debt as soon as they can. They've defeased a lot of debt over the last couple of years, but I think we need to continue to look in those areas where we might be able to save and continue to be very critical of the contracts we enter into to make sure we're squeezing out the dollars that we can to make them go as far as possible in the district. I'm Duke Keller, and I approve this message.